Hey guys, it's Raven. Welcome back to another YouTube video. And as you can see by the title, I'm doing something a little bit different today for my returning subscribers. I'm reading some stories from Reddit. I just want to see how it does on the algorithm, and if you guys like this, comment down below and I'll do some more story times. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife's friend that her taste in men is the reason she's a single mom? I, 29 male, have known my wife, 30 female, and her best friend Jess, 29 female, since we were all 11. We attended middle school together and high school together, but I wasn't in their social circles at all. I was always one of the sort of nerdy, awkward kids, and the two of them were both very popular. My wife in particular was extremely popular because she was, and still is, extremely beautiful, kind, and intelligent. She was our student body president and valedictorian. Jess was also very pretty. I even had a tiny crush on her back then, and she was similarly popular. My wife and Jess have been best friends since kindergarten. My wife and I started dating our senior year of high school after we were paired together to complete a project in one of our classes. We realized that we got along really well and she asked me out. I definitely wasn't saying no to her. Jess from the very start did not respect our relationship at all, and firmly believed that my wife could do so much better. She has, in the decade plus since, consistently told me that my wife is out of my league and that I was lucky she settled for me so young, and that my wife belongs with a more attractive and successful man. Now, I'm the first one to admit that my wife is out of my league. She's far more attractive and makes more money and is just generally an amazing human being, but hearing it so often doesn't exactly feel good. Jess has also tried to convince my wife to cheat on me multiple times, and has even tried to set her up with other men, because she doesn't approve of my wife and I being the only sexual partners either of us have ever had. Jess has a daughter, 5 female, whose father bailed on her and raises her as a single mom. Jess actually dropped out of med school to raise her daughter when she realized that the father was not going to be in the picture. My wife and I absolutely love her daughter and love having her over. Jess had a date on Saturday night, so she left her daughter with us for the night and came to pick her up on Sunday and stayed for lunch. As I was preparing lunch for everyone and her daughter playing in the yard, Jess and my wife were talking about the date. Jess was going on and on about how attractive the guy was and how good he was in bed. All of the details, but I just ignored it. Jess then looked to me and said, "You're lucky you locked her down when you were both so young before she knew that there was better out there." Then turned to my wife and offered to give the guy her number in case she wanted to quote-unquote try him out. I got really angry at that point, so I just said, "I doubt you know anything about better, since your taste in men is why you're a single mom and not a doctor right now." Both of them just stared at me in shock, then just called me an a-hole and left quickly with her daughter. My wife has been upset with me ever since, so I have to ask, am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for getting upset at my parents for not letting me share a hotel room with my boyfriend? I, 21 female, and my boyfriend, 21 male, have been together for about 2.5 years. My parents really like him and really wanted him to come on our upcoming family trip. However, my dad is adamantly against us getting a hotel room together and are going to the extent of getting him his own separate hotel room and paying for it. They are also paying for my room, which I greatly appreciate. But when I expressed wanting to pay for my own room so my boyfriend and I can just share, they got extremely angry with me. I want to add that neither my boyfriend nor I still live at home. We are both in college and have our own individual apartments that I pay my own rent and utilities for. To me, this entire thing feels ridiculous because we are both adults, and it seems incredibly wasteful to book 3 hotel rooms when we could just book 2. No, my parents are not rich. When I ask why this is an issue, my dad's response is, "I'm just not comfortable with it." But my boyfriend and I live alone and spend the night together often, so I really don't see what this prevents. I'm torn between standing my ground or sucking it up and just getting through the trip as they wish. Am I the a-hole for using the bag my girlfriend dislikes? This started 2 weeks ago. My country is slowly phasing out plastic bags. So I, 28 male, bought an extra large reusable shopping bag. It has this Snoopy design. I don't like or dislike Snoopy, but my girlfriend, 28 female, dislikes Snoopy because it reminds her of her ex. As far as I know, they broke up on bad terms. No violence was involved, but a lot of arguments. My girlfriend hates everything related to her ex. She hates his hometown and dislikes anyone from his hometown. She didn't show it out, but she told me she will avoid anyone from his hometown. Anyway, when I showed her the picture of the bag, she told me she disliked the bag. I told her it's time to let go of the past, and I didn't think too much about it. 2 hours later, I went shopping with my girlfriend. When I took out the bag, she looked quite uncomfortable. She asked me to throw away the bag. I told her no, and I refused to condone her behavior. I told her she should really learn how to let go of her past. She remained quiet the entire time we were in the car. Am I the a-hole? The bag only cost $3. Am I the a-hole for eating salad? Last month, I started a new job. I, along with the other new hires, will be in a classroom-style training over the next 2 months. Our 15-person training class is on the same schedule, including lunch breaks. Most of us have lunch as a large group with some other people breaking off into smaller groups or eating lunch alone, all depending on what the person wants that day. We eat in a large dining area that has several seating options. The campus also has several smaller dining areas outside and in other indoor spaces. One of my coworkers, Kathy, has misophonia. I'm somewhat familiar with it, and it sounds like absolute hell. She told me that she has trouble in the training sessions because one guy next to her chews ice nearly all day. She hasn't told him anything. One time, a guy ate Doritos at lunch and Kathy stared at him like she wanted to reach across the table and strangle him. Kathy also has a problem with my eating choices. I usually bring a large salad for lunch, which often takes me a good portion of our lunch to eat. She started staring daggers, making snide comments like, "Did you really have to eat that entire thing?" Or, "You really like crunchy food, don't you?" It's not fun having someone so closely observe and comment on your eating habits. At first I ignored her, but then she kept commenting. Then I just smile and reply, "Why yes, I did have to eat the entire thing so I'm not hungry later, and yes, I do like crunchy food." The unsolicited comments continued. Eventually, I just said, "Kathy, this is a dining area. The primary function of this space is for people to eat in it. If you have a problem with eating noises, maybe an eating space isn't the logical place for you to spend extra time in." Kathy looked upset, and some of the coworkers who heard got quiet for a bit before continuing the conversations. She's been in a sulky mood since. I think Kathy can block out eating noises when she's distracted by her own meal, but since it takes me longer to eat, my noises become the only eating noises for a while. I empathize that Kathy probably feels like she can't catch a break all day at work. Also, I want to acknowledge that there's benefits to eating with others at work. It's a time to bond and network, so in removing herself, she'd miss out a bit. I'm conflicted because I likely could figure out another lunch to pack that's quieter and or faster to eat. I know that she can't help how she feels, but I also don't appreciate her attitude. And honestly, I like the lunches I pack because they make me feel satisfied and energized. They don't make me feel bloated or sluggish after eating them like so many other things do. I also don't want to remove myself and miss out on time with my coworkers because they're fun people. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for calling my sister a mean-spirited B-word? I have a 5-year-old son with ASD who I homeschool. My sister is very against homeschooling and has spent the past year fighting with me about my son, which I honestly find exhausting. I recently announced that I am pregnant to my family. Everyone was happy, especially my sister. Yesterday, she asked when I was going to enroll my son in school, and I said I wasn't going to. My sister got very upset and said I can't homeschool my son once I have the baby. I said I can. We got into another argument, which I finally ended by saying I don't care about her opinion and don't want to hear it anymore. She said my baby will probably, quote-unquote, also be a bad word, and I was irresponsible for having another child. I yelled at her. I called her a mean-spirited B-word who thrives off of saying upsetting things. I told her she's a terrible aunt and horrible sister. She said I'm a terrible sister and horrible mother. My mother is upset my sister and I fought, and she wants me to apologize for calling her a B-word. I do love my sister and would like to resolve the argument, but I can't find it in me to apologize. Was I the a-hole for calling her a B-word, or did she deserve it? Am I the a-hole for calling my ex a deadbeat in front of his family? I, 41 female, have a daughter, Sam, 14 female, with my ex-husband, Brian, 44 male. We divorced when she was 4. Brian made a real effort to be a good father for the first couple of years after our divorce, but then pretty much overnight he seemed to lose interest in her. He stopped coming to parent-teacher nights, never came to any of her sports games and stopped asking about them, refused to pay child support, would forget to pick Sam up on days he said he would, and would stop asking to see her at holidays. On the rare occasions, he remembered to pick her up and would try and smooth everything over by buying her expensive gifts, and it worked for a really long time, but it started to wear off now, and Sam is starting to see through it. Sam has maintained a very close relationship with her paternal grandparents. Sam is a very accomplished field hockey player and represented our country internationally recently, and it's likely that she will be on the World Championship team later this year. We returned 2 days ago, and yesterday her grandparents wanted to take her and the rest of the family to lunch to celebrate. Brian showed up 45 minutes late. He didn't apologize, and his parents were surprised and told him to behave. As Sam was recounting her time and summaries of the matches to her grandparents, Brian interjected and belittled her performance because she quote-unquote only scored 1 goal. Sam burst into tears and ran to the bathroom. I comforted her, and she asked if we could go home. I agreed and told her to wait in the car while I got her stuff. When I returned to the table, Brian was defending himself against his parents, and I snapped. I told him he was a deadbeat and recounted all of the things mentioned above, and that I wouldn't be surprised if Sam cuts him loose one day. Our daughter is wonderful and does not deserve to be treated like this. His parents seemed shocked, as he clearly had given them the impression that he's a good father. He threw a tantrum and stormed out. I apologized and left money for half the check with his parents. Since then, Brian has sent me several messages, and his parents texted to say they don't appreciate the scene I caused in the restaurant. I don't think I did anything wrong, but my parents agree with them, so maybe I did. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for not giving my teenage daughter an allowance? I've always struggled parenting Amy, 14 female. Her father, Don, 50s male, and I separated whenever she was very young. And I quickly found out that whatever I tried to enforce with Amy at our house, he wouldn't bother with at his, whether it was discontinuing pacifier use, diapers, establishing healthy eating habits, or just getting her to go to sleep at her own bed. We would do it well at first, but as soon as she went to Dawn's for the weekend, we would be back at square one. That continued as we got older with behavior. She has always had tantrums, and still does, when something didn't go her way or she didn't get what she wanted. Don would often just give in. His go-to line is, "You need to pick your battles," but I never saw him pick any. He'd just get Amy whatever she wanted, let her eat what she wanted, and do what she wanted. No curfew or rules or chores at his house, so of course he became the preferred parent. He would tell her, "Mom's the boss, but while you're here, you could do whatever you want." I had a system of giving her an allowance when she did chores during the week, but she still refuses to do homework, makes a mess around the house, and refuses to do anything except wash her own clothes. That has been a major win. I am pretty happy that she does that, but I don't think I should pay her for it. So I decided to stop giving her pocket money. Don't get me wrong, I pay for her school lunches, money for the bus, and phone, but I'm no longer giving her extra money just for existing. Dawn's parents give Amy $100 every 2 weeks anyway, which she spends immediately on clothes or makeup. So I think that's more than enough, but it's never enough for Amy. She's accusing me of neglect for refusing to give her an allowance. She says that all her friends get an allowance from both of their parents and that I should just keep giving her money for doing her homework and keeping her room clean. But honestly, it's a fight to get her to do even that. So I'm done. Am I the a-hole? And there you have it, guys. Our first ever Reddit storytime video completed. If you liked it, put in the comments down below if you would like to see another one. Subscribe, smash that like button in the face. Join our Discord server in the description below, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.